Coping with COVID. Updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC. Healthy people, healthy communities. In it together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC. In it together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
Happy Thursday and welcome to Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. I'm Tre Tailor, and we're starting a new series called What's New in 2022. It's highlighting just that, new people, projects, and more happening in our city, state, and in our country in the coming year. Much of that is reflected in the last elections that took place right here in Columbia, South Carolina. Between school board and council, there are lots of new faces in local government. Today, we'll talk to two of those people. Attorney Tina Herbert is the council-elect for District 1. Hello, beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, Tre. Thank you so much for having me here.
Absolutely. And Robert Lominack is the new Richland 1 School Board Commissioner. Mr. Lomanak, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Tre. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We look forward to talking to both of you and finding out your plans for the children and for the city coming up next on Coping with COVID. We'll be right back with them and more next. But first, your COVID community updates. 2 cases of the new COVID variant have been detected. Omicron was found in California yesterday, and then today, a man from Minnesota who had traveled to New York in late November. While the Delta variant is still the most prominent in the United States, health officials say they plan to find more cases of the new Omicron variant in the coming days. People are being encouraged to even more now than ever. Wash your hands, wear a mask, and get your COVID vaccine or booster shot. Lexington Medical Center has put the brakes on requiring their staff to be mandated vaccinated. This after a federal judge sided with South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson yesterday to block the federal government from requiring healthcare workers to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. While the ruling stops the government mandate for healthcare workers, hospitals and private businesses can still make the requirement for its staff. And the VP is in Charlotte today. Kamala Harris is touring the city's bus system and discussing how the president's infrastructure plan can help bring jobs to the Carolinas and improve the water and broadband in rural areas. North Carolina will receive $7.2 billion to fix the over 3,000 miles of roads and bridges deemed in poor condition by the North Carolina Department of Transportation. SCDHEC has your most up-to-date list of times, dates, and location for COVID testing, flu shots, and COVID vaccines in and around South Carolina. Visit scdheck.gov for more information. Now, if you are a veteran, COVID vaccinations and testing is being handled by the VA. Contact the VA for more information. You'll see that information on the screen. Also, several retail outlets are also offering the COVID vaccination for adults and kids 5 and over. Kroger Pharmacies is one of those. Check the screen for details. CVS is also offering vaccinations, including those located in Target stores. And the Brooklyn Baptist Church has a vaccine clinic that's open 7 days a week. Now, the library is continuing to do COVID vaccinations at the Sand Hills location only. And beginning today through Saturday, Benedict College will hold free vaccinations at the Charlie W. Johnson Stadium during the High School Football League Championships. Now, if you're concerned about getting to your vaccination appointment, Don't worry about it. Don't miss your shot. You can get a free ride to catch the comet. You can see that information on the screen. Also, if you are having challenges making your COVID vaccination appointment, although most of them now are walk-in, Get Set Up is giving free online help for seniors and anyone having some technology issues. Now, there are several financial assistance programs available, including a funeral reimbursement program through COVID, through FEMA. If you have lost a loved one due to COVID, please contact the folks at FEMA and they will talk to you about getting a reimbursement for funeral expenses. The South Carolina Bar Association and South Carolina Legal Services has a toll-free number and website for rental and mortgage help. Lexington County has a bill assistance program. SC Housing and Dominion Energy also have an assistance program for rent and utilities. And SC Housing additionally has a frontline workers home buying assistance program. Now, there is also a program for No Judge, No Jail. The Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office, we're so proud to have them as a sponsor, is hosting an event next week at 2 locations at Bible Way Church of Atlas Road and also in the Northeast at Rehoboth Baptist Church. If you have an outstanding warrant for a non-violent offense, please go by one of these days to this event. Last time they helped over 100 people, and they want to help you to get the new year started off right at the No Judge, No Jail warrant resolution event from the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office. Also, there are several jobs available. You can see the screen for more details. So many jobs that are available. A lot of people are struggling right now finding a job. Please check it out. Various positions. Post and share this information out so that someone can get a job for the new year. Finally, if you are having a challenge coping with COVID, please contact the folks at SC Hopes. It's a 24-hour assistance line from the South Carolina Department of Mental Health. You can see that information on the screen also. I'm Tre Tailor, and you are watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. We are streaming live on the Tailor Made Production Facebook page. Please go over there, hit like and share and follow. And not only will you be able to get notifications as to when to watch Coping with COVID, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but also first Monday with comedian George Wallace, Fun Day Monday. He's going to join us Monday. He's got a lot of great things to talk about, so we can't wait to hear from George. Also, we are streaming live on the YouTube page. Please go over there and hit the subscribe button. We also have a presence on Instagram. Well, we are going to be scrolling at the bottom of the screen all this information that we told you about, all of the resources that are available as far as financial assistance, COVID vaccination testing, and also the job information. It'll be scrolling at the bottom of the screen throughout the show. So please, again, continue to post and share this information out so we can get the message to the masses. What's new in 2022 is a new feature on Coping with COVID, looking at the people, projects, and initiatives that will shape our city, our state, and our country. Today, we're talking to 2 people who recently won their prospective elections. Attorney Tina Herbert is no stranger to the city of Columbia. She ran the OBO, the Office of Business Opportunities, for several years before becoming the District 1 City Councilwoman-elect. Congratulations, beautiful. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate you for having me.
Thank you. Listen, so what do you think were some of the main reasons that you won this election, Tina? You were here, of course. You graciously gave us an interview, you and your opponent, as a matter of fact, during the election. So now you're here on the other side. So tell us, 1, why you ran, and 2, why you think you won.
Well, I ran because I think most people know that I was born and bred in this area, 29203, and decided to stay here because I just love the community. Right now, I just went over to Willow Run Apartments off Fairfield Road. That was my parents' first apartment. They brought me home from the hospital, and I can walk there. And even now, my 97-year-old grandmother, because we're 4 generations, I can walk to her home too in Inzer Forest. So I want to see everyone in the community prosper. Life has been pretty good for me, but I want to make sure it's pretty good for everyone in the community, no matter where they are in the city of Columbia. So when I saw that Mr. Davis was not going to run, I decided to throw my hat in the ring. Why do I think I won? I think that people know my track record. I've done a lot for the city of Columbia when I was working there and was a part of the facade program. So I was literally helped the city invest. We did about $450,000 and we were able to attract $6.1 million
Wow.
of private investment. But the other side of it is I'm also a teen mom from 29203, a single mother. I've raised my daughter. She's a lawyer now. And so what I was able to tell people is if you're dealing with issues, trying to make it paycheck, trying to figure out childcare or what school for your child to go to, who's going to pick up your child and how you're going to work and go to school and all these things. I understand those issues. How are you going to afford your apartment? But then at the same time, if you want to talk about a multi-million-dollar deal, I've done that too. So I have the life experience plus the work experience to really bring a lot of things to the community.
We're talking to Tina Herbert. She is the District 1 council person elect, recently won her race. And we are talking about what her plans are for 29203. So do you think, you mentioned, I mentioned your time at the Office of Business Opportunities. What do you think that experience, Tina, how do you think that can help you on the council and why?
I think the main thing that it helps me with is I just truly understand what it takes to motivate staff. And it's very important, I think, at any organization or any job to get buy-in from the folks that we depend on to implement these great ideas that we come up with. I think a lot of people think the actual council people do the work. We come up with the ideas, we ask for the research, but we really do depend on staff to get things done. And so it's very, very important to make sure that we build very good relationships with staff and that we really make sure that we have buy-in with the things that we want to do.
Right. Well, you're also a practicing attorney at Mickle and Bass. Are there skills from your professional life that will benefit you and your constituents?
Absolutely. I am a negotiator. I'm a mediator. So
You're Olivia Pope.
Yeah, I am designed to advocate for people, but at the same time, I'm also trained to come to an agreement, to work together, to find the things that we agree on and really focus on those and see what different people with different views can do together. Because we argue and focus a lot on the differences, but there's so many things. We're so much more alike than we are unalike. So I think those skills help. And then I'm pretty disciplined. You have to be very disciplined, time oriented. But a lot of those factors, I think, really help me and will help me in this role.
You talked a little bit about, knowing the community and being born and raised in that area. So what do you think some of the challenges are in 29203?
Well, we have a lot. I mean, I think we do. Back in the day, we had a problem with high teenage pregnancy. We still have some of those issues and we still want to address them. The numbers have gotten better, but it's still a challenge. Earlier in your show, you mentioned the Diabetes Association.
Yeah,
that's one of our big issues, and that we have a really high rate, one of the highest rates of diabetes amputation. So looking at creative ways to start addressing those issues, because we've known about them, but we got to start moving the needle. I hope one of my wishes, and I thought I was going to be able to do it with the campaign, but I think the campaign ran me instead of me running. But I wanted to start walking on Wednesdays because I have good friends who have diabetes. And I know for a fact that if they walk every single day, 30 minutes, how it keeps their numbers regulated and it keeps them from having to need insulin. So there's some things that I can do just with the platform that I have, but then there are going to be other things that I can do as a member of council. And I'm really looking forward to doing a little bit of both.
Yeah, just to throw in a personal thing, I'm a pretty good eater, but I've got a high incidence of diabetes, high blood pressure in my family. And as you know, you can do everything right, but because somebody down the line, had it, you could get it too. And after I got the children, I exercised less, and then I could feel my body changing. I was like, okay, something's happening. So anyway, I had said to myself, I'm going to give myself 30 minutes every morning. After I take the kids to school, I'm going to give me those 30 minutes to walk, because I used to power walk, but couldn't as much with the kids. So anyway, went to the doctor. He said to me, yeah, your pressure's a little elevated. All you have to do, as you said, Tina, is walk 30 minutes a day. And he said, 5 days a week. So I just, for the last 3 weeks, I have committed to myself just from 9 to 9:30, or by 10 o'clock, I'm back in the office. And that has just changed my life in just that short 3 weeks. And some days I don't get to do it, but I do it more days than not. You know what I mean? So that's such a great, you do have a great opportunity in that community, because you have so many beautiful parks in that area. Just to maybe start a walking club, so to speak. Everybody can start working first thing in the morning, or right before you start your day, or in the evening, or something. 30 minutes. You deserve 30 minutes for your life. You deserve 30 minutes,
Well, and it makes you feel so much better, because, one of the things I will say is, no news, this is not any big news, but I've had, I've been on the, what do we call it, on the big side for all my life. But I've never had, I've never had problems with diabetes. I've never had problems with high blood pressure, but it's because I used to be a runner. And so despite my weight, I exercised and would do 35 miles every day.
Yeah, you just big boned. That's what you're trying to say.
That's where I knew I was trying to think about.
Girl, everybody's got the same size bones, but I digress.
Yeah, but no, I like that though. That always worked. That's what my grandma told me. But I just realized the main difference between me and all the folks who I knew was that I was running every day. And so now I can't run, but I can walk every day, and it makes you feel better. It's simple, it's cheap, because it doesn't cost you to walk.
That's right.
So I need folks to be ready when they say they want to meet with me. I'm saying, yeah, I'm gonna meet you at the park. I'm gonna meet you at the park at 6:30.
Right.
Walk and talk, because
for 30 minutes. That's a great Tina. That's a great walk and talk with Tina.
Oh yeah, we look, and I'm real serious, because what I realize is my calendar is gonna get crazy, but I cannot give up that 30 minutes, just like you were talking about. So yeah, I'm gonna incorporate several walking meetings.
I love it.
I think the more, because the other part too is, they say, one of my good friends told me years ago, he said, you don't need a personal trainer. I thought I needed a personal trainer. He said, you really just need a workout partner. You really just need to see somebody else walking.
Accountability,
so that they feel comfortable. So I plan on doing that, and that's more of a platform. How do you use your platform to make a difference? But I'm going to be doing a lot of walking with constituents and friends and neighbors as we solve problems and address issues.
I love that. Walk and talk with Tina. Listen, what have you heard from people in District 1? What do they want and need?
Of course, they always want more investment. More restaurants is probably one of the biggest things I hear, because if you're like me, I don't like to drive too far to get anywhere. And so what I like about it is, that's why I did dining in the district. Because I knew what the negative was. The negative was we need more restaurants. I decided to focus on, well, here are the restaurants that we do have.
You do have, exactly.
Yeah, because it's one thing we have to understand, in order to get restaurants to come, they have to know that we're going to patronize and that we're going to support them so that they can be sustainable. And so that was my effort, again, using my platform to change that narrative around a little bit more, and then also show people the things that we do have in the district.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for joining us on Coping with COVID. Our new series is What's New in 2022. And of course, Tina Herbert is the newly elected city councilwoman in District 1 in Columbia, South Carolina. We're talking to her about her plans and goals for this new term. Alex Wright says he's with you, I guess, about walking. Thank you, Alex, so much for watching. Please continue to post and share this information out. What are some projects that you want to work on and implement after hearing from your constituents?
So that would be one. And what I have learned is economic investment, or the lack thereof, is at the heart of a lot of the issues that folks see and that folks want. So developing with the current council a strategic plan on how we encourage more investment and what it takes to get more investment. So for instance, I always tell people, first of all, everyone needs jobs, and jobs are so critical. And they have to be decent paying jobs. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
just to be realistic, you want people. My philosophy has always been that if you're working 40 hours a week, I don't care what your salary is. Seems to me that after the end of 30 years, you should have been able to afford to purchase a home and not have to pay rent all your life.
yeah,
So affordable housing is very important for working class people, for people who don't make 60, 70, $80,000. That's very, very important. So that's going to be one of our initiatives. And we have a lot of properties. A lot of folks complain about vacant properties that we have. So how do we take those vacant properties and create opportunities for home ownership within our community? The other part is how do we take renters and make them homeowners and increase wealth in our communities? So a lot of the things that I plan to do deal directly with economic investment. But the other part I try and tell people too, and it's not all about what the city is going to do. It's also about how we're going to get people to invest their money, private sector dollars, because the city can't save everybody and
yeah,
address all issues. But we can do some spurts. We can help here. We can provide funding sources or starting capital to small businesses or minority-owned businesses, more businesses up and down the North Main corridor, out in Harbison. We need to work out there because there's so many changing dynamics.
yeah.
So with their businesses over there. So and because my background with OBO, I kind of understand the business factor and what we need to have sustainable businesses. So bringing more researchers to the community as opposed to you having to come downtown, I realize is an issue for some folks. Everyone does not trust government.
Yeah.
Imagine if we could take an entrepreneurial class and bring it to a park as opposed to you having to go. And I had a nice office. We got nice offices at the city. Imagine how some people may be more comfortable if those same classes were taught right there in their park.
In their neighborhood, yeah.
Their neighborhood. So trying to find just different simple ways to engage in the community and also change their perception so that they learn to trust the city or have faith in the city and the things that the city can do.
Yeah,
I know a whole bunch of stuff, but my mind is, the list just goes on and on, but it is true about making people understand what we can do and encouraging them to invest in themselves with us giving them some momentum. But economic investment and creating wealth is my highest priority.
Yeah. Alex says, yeah, taught at the park or a community center. Yeah, someplace that they can even get to, because that's the other thing. They may not be able to get downtown. It's got to have accessibility in addition to comfort. Thank you, Alex, for your comment.
Alex trying to sign up for Alex, we're gonna sign you up.
That's right. I think Alex works at one of the Richland County, Meadow Lake. He works at Meadow Lake, and he has a nonprofit that's called All Kind, where he collects goods and services for all kinds. So yeah, you connect with him, Alex, right?
Look, I have walked at Meadow Lake Park so many years of my life.
So listen, before we go, I want to ask you a couple of more questions. Is there something, a project or initiative that's already going on or was existing or planned that you want to continue to develop and grow?
Oh, that's a good question. Yes, the city has started with the disparity study. And for those folks that don't know, the disparity study looks at how we spend our dollars. The city spends about $150 million with various suppliers for things that we don't do internally. And the disparity study will look at how those dollars are being spread between minority businesses, women-owned businesses. I think they may even look at veteran-owned businesses as well. But as a result of that study, we'll be able to make some new policies with respect to how we choose suppliers and maybe creating some specific programs that will help people who typically have not been able to take advantage of city contracts to give them a chance. That is so like I'm like giddy, like, ooh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Because no, we have a lot of folks who and I'm looking at this like we have a lot of folks who have tried to be competitive, but for various reasons haven't been able to be able to do that. So the disparity study will not only give us recommendations, but it will tell us specifically in what areas we should target, because they're a good area to help small minority and women-owned businesses. So that's very critical and important to me.
Yeah, and that's your OBO coming out. That's your OBO training coming out. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you are the second African-American woman to serve on council. I saw a Facebook post recently where you credited Tamika Isaac Devine for much of your success, so to speak. What have you learned or gained from her that can help you during your time on council?
Well, and my post was probably one of the most sincere. I told folks I didn't have to make it up. It's just totally true. And most people credit someone else for my exposure to the city of Columbia.
I mean, former mayor.
But it was Tamika who called me. I had never heard of DDRC. I didn't know what it was. But for her, reaching out to me. And it's not like we were best friends or we hung out, but I really felt that, she made a concerted effort to try and find different people who weren't necessarily involved to get them involved. And so what I have learned is how critical it is for me to do the same thing, to find people who have never been exposed to it. Now they may find out that they don't like it or they love it, but at least they understand it. They've had the exposure to it. Because that exposure just helped me tremendously. And someone, was trying to say, city council should get rid of DDRC. And I said, I served on DDRC. I want them to continue to do what they're doing.
Tell people what DDRC is in case people don't know.
Okay, I'm sorry. Design Development and Review Commission. So the city of Columbia, we have a lot of historic districts or districts that have overlays. And so if you make a change to your building or to your home, you have to make sure that you're in compliance with the rules of the overlay. And so if anyone is doing something inconsistent with the overlay, they have to come and get an exception. And DDRC grants those exceptions or denies those exceptions. So again, most people probably don't even know what DDRC is. Right. A very good experience. If anything, I'll tell you the truth. I learned, I don't want to be where we got to overlay because that's, but the lesson you learn is the lesson you learn. So what Tamika taught me is the importance of not just getting in and being happy I'm there, that there are other people to bring along the next generation. And I promise you, back then, I never thought I would be right here. So, I have that same responsibility to make sure I extend opportunities to people as well.
Tina, how long would you like to serve?
A term is 4 years.
So you 4 years? You in and out in 4 years?
It all depends on the work that's done. But I'm a low key kind of person. Y'all know me. I can see myself trying to accomplish a few things, and once I get them accomplished, going back to the house and reading my books on a Saturday night, going back to my little boring life that I love so much. So, but I think it's also critical to make way for other people. I did it at OBO. I was at OBO for 7 years, and I remember telling Mayor Benjamin, I did not commit to 3 terms, but I felt that I had done enough to set up the office for the next person. And so Melissa Lindler was able to come in and grow the department, take it in her own direction where she saw fit. But I think I laid a good foundation, and I think that's what you're supposed to do. At least that's my thought now. So we'll evaluate in 3 years to see how many boxes I've checked off, and we'll make that decision then.
Great, great. And if people want more information, your information is up on the screen. People can contact you to walk and talk with Tina
Look,
beginning
and I
next year.
say those things publicly because really, when I say it publicly, I'm like, well, I got to do it now.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
that's right. You out there. You put it out there.
Yeah.
When you take office, when in January?
We will all get sworn in January the 4th at 4:00. The public is invited at the convention center.
All right, January 4th, 4:00. And the new council people, including the mayor, will be sworn in. And if you want to make an appointment to walk and talk with Tina for District 1, she will be there and you can do just that. And of course, you see her information on the screen. Tina, congratulations. Good luck to you. God bless. And thank you so much for joining us today on Coping with COVID. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, Trey. Keep doing what you're doing. I love it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll be talking to you about it. All right. Coming up, the face of Richland District 1 School Board is also changing. We will hear from the new board member, Robert Lominack. That's next on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor.
Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. In it together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC. In it together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
Let Palmetto Painting Services take the worry out of your next home painting project. We can paint anything. Our business is about interior painting and exterior painting. We offer services for residential and commercial properties. Restore the life to your home with a fresh coat of paint from Palmetto Painting Services. References are available upon request. Give us a call at 803-546-4570 today.
Computers, they're a part of our everyday lives, but when they're not working, they're an everyday problem. So call Computers Unique, your everyday solution. 803-351-5821. Is your computer running slow? Won't turn on? Do you need a screen replaced? Or maybe you just need another computer? Well, Computers Unique is your one-stop shop for all your computer needs. They have a wide variety of new and pre-owned PCs, Macs, and tablets. So call Computers Unique, Dutch Square Mall. 803-351-5821. 803-351-5821.
The Comet gives me a reliable source of transportation.
It's very convenient to me, and they have wonderful drivers.
It's clean, and it builds community. It's fun to meet people.
It makes me feel like really independent. It's just fun.
It's always going to be there and it gets me everywhere I need to go.
We try to ride every single day. Comedy is our livelihood.
Hey there. Thank you so much for joining us on Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. We are streaming live on the Tailor Made Production page on Facebook. That's the home of Coping with COVID. Please go over there, hit like and share and follow so you can get notifications as to when to watch Coping with COVID Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And first Monday, Fun Day Monday with George Wallace. Also, we're streaming live on YouTube. Please hit the subscribe button over there. We would love for you to do that. And we also have a presence on Instagram. Hey, don't forget to check out the scroll at the bottom of the screen throughout the show. Has so many great resources that you can take advantage of. You can share job resources, financial resources, COVID testing, and vaccinations, and more. What's new in 2022 is our new ongoing series focusing on the people, projects, and initiatives that will shape our new year. We spoke to City Councilwoman-elect Tina Herbert in the last segment. Hit the replay to check that one out. Now, we're going to talk to Robert Lominack. He's the new Richland District 1 school board member and is also the executive director of an education nonprofit. He also taught in Richland 1 for several years, and before that, he was an attorney representing men on death row here in South Carolina. It was this work that taught Robert a great deal about the effects of poverty and trauma on children, as well as the missed opportunities in kids' lives. Robert, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me, Trey. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate you coming on. I mean, I'm so impressed at your diverse background of serving. I mean, you are a servant by nature, it sounds like. Tell me what you observed and learned during your time first practicing law.
Well, kind of what you were talking about a minute when you were introducing me. I mean, for most of my cases, it was my primary job was to tell the story of my clients' childhoods. And that involved talking to every teacher that knew them, to every adult or person that ever had contact with them as a child, and also gathering all their records. And the stories were almost always the same. A lot of trauma and a lot of poverty and a lot of missed opportunities to address the issues when they could be addressed. And so, I interviewed some teachers who had no clue what was going on in this client's life when he was a child. And I don't blame those teachers. The schools didn't have the support to ask what is happening to this child, not what's wrong with this child. And so those are the things that I learned in every single case after case.
Yeah, that's so interesting because listen, our teachers are teaching. And I guess you would think, okay, as a teacher, you're teaching, but shouldn't you want to know the backgrounds of all your children? And listen, I'm not a teacher. I got two over here that I have enough hard time trying to figure out what's going on with them. I can only imagine trying to figure out the diverse backgrounds of 30, 60 kids.
Well, that's right. And a lot of our teachers have, hundreds of kids at a time. I mean, and when I was really struck by that when I became a teacher, and of course, our teachers do a wonderful job of building relationships with our kids, obviously, and that's part of teaching. But teachers cannot be expected to really intensively address the outside of school factors that are affecting their students in the classrooms. That's one, they're not trained to do that. I mean, that's the job of mental health counselors and social workers, but also they don't have the time. I mean, they're in the classroom to teach, and that's hard enough as it is, especially these days. Yeah.
And you mentioned that you ended up teaching. What made you decide to go from law to teaching?
So I sat down, I got the school records of a client named Jesse, and I'll never forget looking at his fourth grade report card. The teacher had written in this beautiful cursive handwriting at the bottom, and she said, "I expect great things from Jesse in the years to come." And then in fifth grade, his grades and behavior really deteriorated. But there was nobody there to say what's happening to Jesse.
Right.
And when I met with those teachers decades after they had written their report cards, they said, "What happened to Jesse?" And I told them, and they just began to sob, and they said, "We had no idea." And I just thought, I think that we can do better. I think that we can provide the support we need. And so that, talking to those teachers, and they were wonderful teachers and wonderful people. It was that interview in Florida that really pushed me to become a teacher. And so I taught in Richland 1 for 7 years.
So what happened to Jesse? Did something traumatic happen in his life?
Oh, I mean, from the time of birth when he was diagnosed a failure to thrive, he was riding around in the back of a station wagon while his stepfather and mother stole lawnmowers out of people's garages.
Bonnie and Clyde.
It just went on every single month. There was some new trauma to add on to the prior trauma.
Wow. And so you came to Richland 1. What did you teach?
I taught Latin because I went through the PACE program. And when you go through the PACE program, which is a way for folks who didn't go to school to become teachers, but it's a way for kind of regular people to get certified to be teachers. And if you do that, you teach in the area of your college major. And I got to be honest, I had not looked at Latin in 20 years by the time I started teaching it. And I'll also be honest. I mean, because I was a lawyer, I think constitutional law and social studies and things like that were probably more interested to me in some ways.
Yeah.
But the great thing about teaching a foreign language is that you get to have the same group of kids for 2, 3, and sometimes 4 years. So I really got to develop some awesome relationships with my kids.
Yeah, awesome. That's great. What did you learn there? And did that help you decide to then launch that nonprofit, the educational nonprofit?
Well, that's right. I mean, as soon as I got to the classroom, I saw the same gap in needs on behalf of our students and families, especially those living in poverty, and what our teachers needed in terms of support. And so I did start a nonprofit, and it was, very small. And we would work with kids starting in middle school and stick with them until they graduated high school.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually it grew. And, at one point we had about 30 to 40 students that we were working with that spanned like 7th to 11th grade at that time. And a lot of them were in my class. And I knew these kids so well. And I knew that they respected me. And I knew that they liked me also. But they sometimes would struggle in my class as well. And I thought to myself, if they're struggling in my class, and if I'm struggling to provide the support they need in my class, what about other teachers that don't have the benefit of having worked with them for years?
Right.
And so that's when I decided to work with my nonprofit full time and leave the classroom so that we could begin really embedding ourselves in a school to provide that instantaneous support to teachers and students.
Well, I want to ask you about, your time on the school board, what you plan to do. But I want to ask before that a little bit about the nonprofit. So you still have it. And who do you serve and how?
So right now we are continuing to run a really unique pilot program at Jackson Creek Elementary School in Richland 2. We have provided, through a partnership with United Way, we've provided a social worker and a behavior interventionist to a kindergarten class and have followed them now into 1st grade and now 2nd grade. So this is our 3rd year with these families and with these students. And so, the pandemic obviously affected us like it did everyone else, but we did not lose track of a single family for even 24 hours. And frankly, that was not even something we were concerned about because we had developed such good working relationships with all the families that we serve that they knew that they could reach out the minute they were struggling. And we were also constantly in contact with them. So while we watched statewide in horror as school districts lost track of 16 or 20,000 kids for months and months at a time, this was a real testament to why we need more intensive support. And so we're running that program, and it's, we're showing why you need it, especially as we come back from a pandemic. But my nonprofit also advocates on behalf of public education at the state level and at the legislature as well.
So is that why you felt like school board was the next obvious step for you so that you could kind of be in the process?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've dedicated over 15 years of, either working with my nonprofit, serving students and families who live in poverty, or teaching in the classroom. And I really believe that we need someone on the board that does have classroom teaching experience. If you haven't taught in the classroom, it's hard to really know all the challenges and the obstacles that stand before our teachers and our students. And so I felt like that perspective was really needed.
Yeah, no one's been on the front line.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So tell me what you think your vast experience, because you've got a lot of different experience, but even though it's from lawyer to teacher to running a nonprofit, it's all really working with young people. So what can that experience bring to the board? What perspectives do you think?
Well, poverty is the one thread among others that really you can see across all of my different experiences. And poverty is crushing our public schools. And Richland 1 obviously has a very high rate of students who live in poverty.
Yes.
But and I do not want to downplay the challenge that presents. It is an unimaginable challenge. I mean, when you look at the pandemic, the nutrition services department at Richland 1 never gets the credit that they deserve. I mean, I've worked with them when I was a teacher and I ran a summer camp. They were phenomenal. I knew that they were great for a long time. But when you watch what they did during the pandemic, I mean, but for that department, thousands of families would have gone without food.
Absolutely.
But that's also a reminder about how fragile our system was before the pandemic. And so the pandemic has just shown a bright light on that. But despite the challenge that poverty presents, I think that we can still do better. And I think we can do better by providing more supports to our teachers and our students and families who live in poverty.
What does that look like, Robert? What does more support look like? Tell me about what you want to change and implement, because you make a great point. You know, the poverty level brings about so many challenges. Food is just one of them, you know. So how do you propose to really target that and do something about it?
Well, I think one of the things we need to do is recognize it looks different at each school, depending on the dynamics of that
and
school
family and
family. That's right. That's exactly right. And so at an elementary school, it may be that we need to have teacher assistants in every single classroom so that we can increase our reading achievement before the end of third grade. Because we know that if students aren't reading at grade level at the end of third grade, they are 6 times more likely to drop out of high school and many times more likely to live in poverty as an adult. So that pre-K through third grade is really important. So provide more assistance to teachers so that they can help get our students there, especially now after students come back having not been in school for a year and a half. But we also need more social workers. You know, I've been saying for years that in District 1, we've got twice as many police officers in our schools as social workers. And I'm not saying take all the police officers out, but that proportion seems off to me. So we do need more social workers. And Richland 1 has recognized that, and they do want to hire more social workers. But the problem is we've put ourselves in a position of needing a lot of social workers now, and you can't find a lot of social workers now. There's not a pipeline. So but we do need to begin hiring more social workers as well as mental health counselors in every single school.
Absolutely. Well, Robert, you know, how do you address that when we are at a shortage of teachers? You know, you're talking about getting teacher assistants. Well, teachers are dropping off left and right due to the pandemic and everything that is, comes with that.
Well, that's right. And that's why we have to get the teacher assistants, just because that's what's going to keep teachers in the classroom. When I talk to teachers and principals and assistant principals every day, they talk about that type of support that will keep teachers in the classrooms. Right now, teachers feel like they're being set up to fail.
Yeah.
And we have got to show them that we're willing to be creative and provide them the things they're asking for, because they're the things that they know they need to make their students successful. And that's what will bring them back to the classroom.
Do you have relationships, Robert, with people, legislators, people like that can really affect a change? I mean, obviously, on the school board, you and your fellow commissioners can get together and make some decisions and put some plans in place, but then they've got to go somewhere to really make it back to the classroom.
Well, that's right. I mean, the school board has a big role to play in terms of setting the atmosphere for success at our schools. Right. And, you know, we do get to decide in many ways how we're spending our money and where our priorities are. And so we, at the state level, you know, the state legislature has not fully funded, according to the requirements of the law, public education since 2008. And I think that needs to be acknowledged. And that is not the fault of any school district, right? So we do need to pressure our folks at the state level to make sure they're doing everything they can to support us as well. But at the local level, we do have, you know, we get to use federal dollars. We've got more now than we've ever had, obviously. We've got to decide exactly how we prioritize the use of those funds. And those are big decisions. That's $80 million in just the third round of federal stimulus funding itself. And then we've obviously got our local dollars. So, you know, the school board at the local level does have a huge role to play in terms of how we're spending our dollars and what we're spending it on.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because I wanted to ask about the $80+ million that is available now. And, you know, I didn't get a chance to ask Tina this, but I wanted to ask too. We've got a lot of money coming in to our city and to our county and to our state. You know, what do you propose is maybe 3 things, or however many you wanted to, you know, things that really need to happen so that we can see some change sooner than later? Because our kids and our teachers need it now.
Well, that's right. And that actually was a point I was making. We had a school board meeting the other night. And the last proposal I saw in Richland 1 about the federal stimulus dollars, the third round, was really focusing on social workers and reading interventionists. And both of those are absolutely good ideas. I don't have any qualms with them. But what I said the other night at the meeting is that we cannot find 27 new social workers this year, that will take
Right.
2 to 4 years to fill those positions. So we need to probably rethink that funding and figure out what can we do now. And I think
Yeah.
things like teaching assistants in the school, behavior interventionists, more adults in the school building that are there to support teachers and students at the same time. I think we can do that. And I think that will really help our retention, because we've got 83 teacher vacancies right now in the middle of the year. If we're not careful and if we don't really focus on this every single waking moment for the rest of this year, we're going to have double or triple that next year.
Yeah. How will you engage with public parents and school staff? Because that's important too, knowing,
So
what those folks want and need.
Absolutely. So I am trying to meet with every principal of all 54 schools in District 1. I'm doing well so far. I've got a meeting tomorrow, I think, with an assistant principal. I was talking to a teacher yesterday on the phone. I am really trying to reach out and make sure people know my cell phone number, my email, and asking people to reach out to me. And they have. I mean, there was someone watching the school board meeting the other night when I was talking about the need for more support. And he emailed me and said, can we meet? I've got some things to talk with you about because I'm frustrated at the lack of support that my school is getting. So I am getting out there and trying to literally meet with every principal. And I'm always talking to and meeting with teachers all over the district. We've got 7 high school clusters, and I'm an at-large representative, and I will meet with every single school in all of those 7 clusters.
Well, people can see your information on the screen if you want to connect with Robert. Are you like Tina? Are you running with Robert? She's talking and walking with Tina. Are you running with Robert?
I can't keep up with Tina. I probably can't walk as fast. I know I can't run as fast. But I'm always happy to have coffee with Robert. So I'll do that
Coffee
anytime.
with Robert doesn't rhyme, Robert. You have to find a hook. I'm trying to think of what, I don't know. That would be great. You see the information on the screen. You've already started your term. People can communicate with you now. Listen, are you still in the classroom? What are you doing now other than devoting, your time to the school board?
Well, I'm devoting a lot of time to the school board. I know Tina would say the same once she gets sworn in. She knows how much time you can spend all of your time in these positions. But I'm running the nonprofit, and I spend almost every day. I'm at our elementary school checking in with our team, our resiliency team, and then working on these state legislative and policy issues.
Well, Robert, let's keep in touch. If there's something I can do to help through my platform, personally or professionally, I would love to. I love your background and that you are committed to doing some grassroots things, and I just wish you so much love and support and blessings in your effort, because I can tell that you are really sincere about affecting some change. And if this is any indication of what's new in 2022, it sounds like it's going to be great. So thank you so much again for all of your work and for joining us today on Coping with COVID.
Well, you're the best, Trey. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Robert Lominack. Again, you can see his information on the screen if you want more information and if you want to contact him about his opinions and what he's doing on Richland School District 1. You can see his information. All right. So listen, if you have a story or initiative that could help someone cope with COVID, please email booking@copingwithtreTailor.com. Booking@copingwithtreTailor.com. The information is scrolling on the bottom of the screen. If you have a product or service that could help someone cope with COVID, please email copingwithtreTailor@gmail.com. We would love for you to be a proud sponsor, just like SCDHEC, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, In It Together SC, and the Diabetes Advisory Council of South Carolina, Javis Tax Services, Palmetto Painting Services. FYI, they are outside my house as we speak, painting my house. They have been so tremendous because I've been trying to get my house painted for months. It's not their fault. It's mine. I didn't know what color I wanted it. Anyway, the Fifth Circuit Solicitor's Office, Attorney Byron Gibson. Don't forget about their event coming up next week, the Warrant Resolution event, Palmetto Media Connections, Black Expo, the Comet Bus System, Catch the Comet, Computers Unique Dutch Square Mall, and Agape Counseling and Training Services. Now, coming up tomorrow, Bree Spalding and Emily Harrell are working on a docuseries about the Jamie Harrison Senate campaign. They worked together for the Bakari Sellers documentary, and they are going to tell us about that tomorrow. Plus, Dr. Jane Kelly, who is the DHEC Assistant Epidemiologist, will talk to us about the new variant and what we need to look out for this upcoming holiday season. And then, of course, Monday, Fun Day Monday with George Wallace. He recently did a PAC show in Tennessee. Anthony Hamilton was there. Michael Eric Dyson, Miss Patty LaBelle was there. He sent me some pictures. I think he was just bragging, but he's going to tell us about that and so much more. That's coming up Monday on Coping with COVID. As usual, I leave you with a reading from Jesus Calling. And on this December 2nd, Jesus is telling you, I am the Prince of Peace. As I said to my disciples, I say also to you, peace be with you. Since I am your constant companion, my peace is steadfast with you. When you keep your focus on me, you experience both my presence and my peace. Worship me as King of Kings, Lord of Lords, and Prince of Peace. You need my peace each moment to accomplish my purposes in your life. Sometimes you're tempted to take shortcuts in order to reach your goal as quickly as possible. But if the shortcut requires turning your back on my peaceful presence, you must choose the longer route. Walk with me along paths of peace. Enjoy the journey in my presence. That's your Jesus Calling for today, Thursday, December 2nd. I'm Tre Tailor. Hey, thank you again so much for watching. Until the next time, I wish you peace and abundant blessings. Take care. Stay well. God bless. And please get your vaccine. And don't forget to wear your mask. You still need to do that over your nose and under your chin. We'll see you tomorrow.
Coping with COVID. Updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC. Healthy people, healthy communities. In It Together and the South Carolina Diabetes Advisory Council, presenting Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday on Coping with COVID. The City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Services. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their lives. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Services at agapects.com. And Palmetto Media Connections, connecting media and communities together. Coping with COVID, brought to you by SCDHEC, In It Together, the Diabetes Advisory Council, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connections.